Welcome to the CodeStories podcast. The name of my guest is Dorian Dominguez. Dorian is a high school dropout turned self-taught software developer. With no prior experience in tech, he taught himself how to code in his 30s using online resources. He's now been working as a full-stack web developer for the last 3.5 years. He also has an awesome YouTube channel where he shares his experience to help motivate people who are learning to code. Don't forget to check out his channel and leave a subscription. Let's get to know more about Dorian.
Dorian, what's up? How are you?
Good. How's it going?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much. Thank you for taking your time to be part of the show. And it's pretty late on your side, right? It's like 11 something.
Yeah, 11 p.m. right
11
now.
p.m.
So.
Yeah, it's like 8 on my side, 8 a.m. on my side. So just woke up. So we finally made it happen. We've been planning this for a while, actually. So I think I started my YouTube channel in January, and you started like 2 months later. And then I uploaded a video when I was talking about my journey into software development. And then I saw a comment of yours asking, "Hey, what's up?" Oh, first you were saying, "Congratulations for your journey, and you're doing great videos, and should we collab, what about I think it was you asked for podcast or something like that." And I was like, okay, this guy's from the States, how should that work? That's never gonna work. So I was thinking to myself, I'm never gonna do remote podcast, right? Remote podcast is not my thing. I want people to be here on site. I want to talk to people face to face here in my studio. And then it was actually you made me started doing remote podcast. It was you were the first person that made me start to like reconsider my stance towards remote podcasting. And so I wanted to reach more people. I want to be more dynamic, flexible. And I was like, man, maybe Dorian is right. Maybe I should try this remote podcast thing, and this will be something that can be really helpful for other people, actually. And so COVID came and things went down ceiling, and many people are doing remote podcasts. And so I was like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna do the remote podcasting. And you are actually my third guest. My first one was Danny and the legendary Danny Thompson. And thank you very much for being part of this.
I'm really happy to do this. I remember when I first saw your channel, I was like, I really like what he's doing, and I did mention the remote thing, and I'm just glad that we made it happen. And like you said, with COVID, pretty much anything that can be remote is now remote, under these circumstances. So it's nice that, being clear across the world from each other, that we're able to do this, and we're able to talk and impact people that are in different parts of the world. So it's pretty nice. I'm excited to do this. I'm actually a little nervous, but I remember when I first reached out to you and made a comment on your channel, I was like, man, I really like this guy's channel. I hope I can be on it one day. So here we are.
Great. And talking about remote, so you're working from home, I guess, right?
Yes. When everything first happened, I live in Washington State, and we were one of the first states to get hit in the U.S. Real hard in Seattle and whatnot. So my job, they decided when this first happened, hey, we're gonna go remote for a few months and see what happens. And then it just kept getting pushed, and a few months turned into, okay, well, we'll consider people coming back into the office in January. And then a few months pass, and then it's like, you know what, we're not even going to consider people coming in until next year. So right now, for the foreseeable future, June is the closest time that they will even consider bringing people back into the office. And they've already said that it's more than likely that people that can be remote are going to probably stay remote as much as they can, even after June. So I feel like I'm a remote employee now. So it's kind of nice.
Great. And how's your experience been doing remote office, home office?
I like it when so if you see one of my early videos, you'll see that I had a little computer in what looked like was a closet, because it was a closet, and I had a really small desk in basically our family room where my kids would play, because I would occasionally work from home 1 day a week, because my job offered that flexibility for one work from home day. But once this became a thing, and after a couple weeks of working at home and working in that little closet and having my 3-year-old and my 4-year-old playing behind me, I was like, I need an office. And then that's when I decided to take the spare shop that we had in the house that we bought and convert it into my office/home studio, which is what I'm working in now, and it's much more comfortable. But to get acclimated at first, the first month was really, really difficult.
Yeah, same experience here also. I was also having some really hard time trying to focus, trying to concentrate, especially because of the media was pushing all different kind of things out there regarding COVID. And so it was not that easy to stay focused on your work. And you got kids, I've got kids. And so it was kind of, it was complicated. But I think after 3-4 weeks, I was able to like isolate myself from the family when I'm at work, and just make sure that I'm able to work from home. Great, thank you. All right, tell us about yourself. Who is Dorian?
All right. So I am a high school dropout turned web developer / software engineer, full stack developer. Many of those different titles I do now. I've been working as a front end developer and a full stack developer for the last 3.5 years. I taught myself how to code a little over 4 years ago. It took me, I don't know, about 10 months, close to a year to get my first job, but I'm completely self-taught. And before that, I worked in jobs like retail and customer service, and the majority of it was like hospitality. I worked at hotels and waiting tables and at nightclubs, parking cars. So I've done everything but tech. I never had a tech job until I decided to pursue software development and learn how to code.
Wow, amazing. The crazy thing is that here in Germany, people like us with our stories, people who doesn't have like a traditional computer science degree, and now we are doing software development for a living. And it's almost like our story sounds like fairy tales to them, because they don't get it at all. That how is it possible for someone who was working in retail, nightclub, customer service, had zero background in software development, no computer science degree, and now he's working full time as a software developer? How is that? How can that be? And I always think about it like there's a scene in Matrix. You've watched the movie Matrix?
Oh yeah.
Matrix, the first one. And there was a scene where Neo and his friends were in a building, and then Neo saw a cat passing by, and the cat passed like twice the exact same way. And Leo was like, what was that? And then I think Morpheus came to Leo and Neo and said, what happened? What did you see? And he said, yeah, I saw a cat. Maybe he had a deja vu. And then Morpheus was like, okay, something's wrong in the Matrix. We need to. And so it's like for our stories, it's like alien to them. So it's like, what? There's something wrong in the system. There's something wrong in the Matrix. This shouldn't be. There's something that's disrupting the system. This shouldn't be real. So that's why I'm so thankful that we have the opportunity to share our story, share our knowledge, just to let people know that, look, it is possible. It is possible for you to be working 10 years in a gas station like Danny, and then become a software developer. It is possible to have zero background in software development and then start learning in your 30s, like you and like me too. I started in my 30s also, and still land a job in software development. Great. And when you started this journey into coding, into programming, were you facing any resistance, opposition from friends, family members, people who were like, hey, you know what, Danny, love you, like you, you're a good friend, you're a good husband. However, this software development thing, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. Sorry, this not for you. Were you facing something like anything like that?
I wouldn't say directly, like no one ever came out and told me like, what are you thinking, this will never happen. But I will say that I did get some eyebrows raised when I would tell people like, yeah, I'm going to learn how to code and I'm going to get a job as a developer. And then they would say like, well, how are you going to do that? Are you going to school? And I'm like, no, I'm learning on YouTube and on the internet. And that's when I would get those funny looks. And I just I took a little bit of that as motivation. And also my wife was always very encouraging, and she always has been, and she still is. And she kind of backs me up on anything I want to do, and she believes in me. So I always had that going for me, that the times that I did have self-doubt, or if I had other people who were kind of doubting me a little bit, I always had the positive reassurance from her saying like, no, you can do this. And I saw so many people that were doing it on YouTube, and now the people that are talking about this, there's a lot more of us now on YouTube and online talking about how to become a programmer or software developer or self-taught. But 3-4 years ago when I was learning how to code, it was less people, but there were people out there, and they reassured me, watching videos on different people like the Coding Phase and Aaron and Beta and different YouTubers back then that were like, no, you can do this. And I'm like, man, if these guys can do it, then I can do it. Why? What's any different from me and these people? But it was hard, and there was a few people that maybe kind of doubted me, but no one ever said, oh, you'll never do this. But I wouldn't say that they were reassuring the whole time.
Right. And which learning resources were you using? I mean, there are tons of things you can reach out to out there, and but were there, like, let's say, the 3 best resources you were using to learn?
So there was a lot of trial and error, and I think that happens with a lot of people who are self-taught, who don't really have, you don't have the same guidance as if you would go to school or if you would go to a boot camp. So early on, I did some Udemy courses. I did Codecademy. I did Team Treehouse. I did Free Code Camp. I did a little bit of the Odin project. I did a bunch of everything, but the ones that I found the most useful for me would be Free Code Camp and the Odin project. I have videos talking about them because they were project-based learning, and it felt like I wasn't just following along with someone in a video. It felt like I wasn't just following along with the tutorial. When I did those programs, once they push you into the deep end and they teach you, they're like, all right, follow this curriculum, and then when you're done, go build this stuff. And then when I had to build this stuff, that was when the struggle happened, and that's when then I learned the most. So I really always recommend the Odin project, Free Code Camp, and I did like Team Treehouse a lot, but it felt like it was just more guided and more handheld than the Odin project and Free Code Camp were.
All right, great. So I think you were also caught up in tutorial hell, right? When you were starting,
yeah.
I was there also. Like I think tutorial hell was kind of a comfort zone, and it's very hard to live there because everything, someone tells you what to do, the next step, and it feels so, let's say, comfortable, right? But when you start thinking of the idea of a scenario where you have a clean, empty code editor in front of you, and now code, right? You're like, no, I don't want to go there.
Me than that.
So were you also caught up in tutorial hell?
Absolutely. I mean, I think anyone who goes self-taught, and I think anyone who even goes to a boot camp or school, once you're done with the courses and you have to build your projects, I think everyone faces that. Oh, what do I do? I've learned all these things, but I have no idea how to apply them. And you end up telling yourself, okay, maybe I'll do one more tutorial. I don't really know JavaScript that well. Let me go do another tutorial before I do this project. Let me brush up a little bit more on my HTML and CSS before I build a website. And then it's that cycle that just keeps happening. But the best thing is to just break through and say, that's it. I'm not touching another tutorial. I won't do that again. I'm going to build some stuff. And yeah, tutorial hell is real. And many of us have been there for sure.
Great. I think you did a video on that too. And
yeah.
Great. And when you started, or when you were like already deep into software development, were there, or before you even started, did you had a plan B? Was it like all or nothing, or was it okay, if this doesn't work out, I'm gonna go back to customer service or retail or whatever?
You know, I really, there's something that happens when you have kids that makes you realize that you want to set a path for yourself, and you want to provide your kids with like the best life possible. And I knew that if I didn't make it in software development, I did not want to go back to retail, and I did not want to go back to waiting tables or parking cars, because I felt very limited to, you know, how much I could grow, how much I could make, and where I could live, because I lived in Las Vegas at the time, and those jobs are fairly lucrative in Las Vegas, but we didn't want to raise our family there. And it got to the point where I was just like, no, I'm gonna do this no matter what happens. I'm gonna become a software developer, and I just persevered and kept going and said, I'm not going back to parking cars. I will make this happen. And it was hard. There was a lot of doubt at times, but at a certain point, I did hit no, this is going to happen. I remember hearing it was a podcast where there was some entrepreneurs, and they used an expression that they said, billions or body bags. Like, they're going to make it one way or another, no matter what. They're going to make it happen, and that was something that kind of stuck with me. That I'm not going to fail no matter what. Somebody's going to hire me. I will get a job. I will get so good that an employer would be dumb to turn me down. And I kind of tried to keep that mindset once I had passed a certain amount of time learning, because early on when I was first learning, there was all kinds of doubt and all kinds of like, no, I need to go to school. This isn't going to happen. I'm too dumb. There's no way. I'm too old. I'm too dumb. This isn't for me. And I just kept working through it and kept saying, I'm just going to keep going and see what happens. And that's pretty much what I did.
Right. And with a moment where you were on the brink of quitting, like, you know what, I'm done with this. Because I experienced that too, because there was moments where I was like, oh no, this is just way too hard for me. You know, Nathaniel, you missed the bus. It's time to just go back to your normal life and just do whatever you need to do. But software development is definitely not for you. I had those moments so often when I started. Yeah.
I will tell you that there's probably times right now that I still feel like that when I come across some problem and I'm just like, this is too hard. I can't do this. But I think it's part of the job, and I think it comes with territory. And many times I did feel that. I you know, like I said, I felt like, yeah, I'm just too old. Yeah, I need a college degree. Yeah, I should just quit now. It's not going to happen. But I think that also kind of falls back to a little bit of imposter syndrome, and especially when you're self-taught and you don't go to school and you're older and you're doing it completely on your own and following people on the internet and not having any guidance. And there is a lot of that doubt, but I guess it was just determination, and I tried to push those thoughts to the side. And every day that I didn't feel like showing up at my laptop and studying, I just kind of used that as fuel. I used that doubt where I was just like, you know what, I'm going to make this happen. I'm not going to let myself, you know, be my own worst enemy. I'm not going to let myself talk myself out of this. If everyone says that I can do this, if I keep studying and I keep building projects and I keep going at it every day, then I'm going to do that. And that's what I did. But doubt was there all the time, for sure.
Oh, amazing. And did you had a mentor when you started?
I did not. I had, I guess, what you would call a pseudo mentor, and there was one person in particular who he probably doesn't even realize how much he was a mentor for me. But I would go to a meetup, and I always suggest that people network. Networking is very important. It's not going to guarantee you a job, but there's something that it does for you when you surround yourself around like-minded individuals and people who have been in your shoes, who have walked the path that you're walking. And I remember my first meetup, I met the coordinator. His name was Mike, and he came up to me. I was the new face in the crowd. There was probably about 20 20 or so people at this meetup, and it was called Demo Day in Las Vegas. I always recommend it. It's really good. It's grown to like over 60 people now. I don't know how they're doing it with COVID, but he was like, are you going to present something today? Because that meetup was a bunch of developers would get together and show their side projects. And I was like, I just have my little portfolio. I just learned, like, I just been doing this for like 3-4 months. I don't think I'm ready to show anything. He's like, perfect, I'll sign you up. And I was like, oh no. But I ended up going up on in front of everyone, and I showed my portfolio on a big screen, and he actually ended up being a bit of a mentor in a way. Like he let me use him as a reference, and I just kept showing up to these meetups every month, and he would help me a little bit with my code, and he would give me pointers, and he didn't know how much he impacted me. And if he's watching this, Mike, thank you. Awesome guy. I think he actually is a teacher now at a code camp, at a coding boot camp in Las Vegas. But he helped me out a ton. But he wasn't a mentor where I would call him every day or every week and check up with him, but he would help me a lot when I saw him at the meetup. So that would be the closest thing I had to a mentor.
Wow, great. And could you think of yourself being a mentor?
I could, and it's funny because with the YouTube channel, I've had a few of my viewers actually like call me a mentor. I have a Discord server where people have been asking me questions. I try to help people out as much as I can. I'm super busy, but if I have a few minutes in my day, I try to answer comments, and I try to help as much as I can, because I know how much value that brings to people who are on their own learning how to code and don't have anyone. And I also have a friend who's been learning how to code. It's actually the person who suggested that I try programming when I was looking into networking and IT security and all that stuff. Before I decided to learn how to code, he was the person that suggested, hey, you should try this programming thing. And I'm like, you're crazy. I don't know math. I'm not smart enough for that stuff. He's like, no, I really think that you'll like this stuff. Funny enough, 4 years later, he's actually walking that path now, and he's trying to learn how to code, and he's been reaching out to me quite a bit, and he's been learning a lot of like full stack development, and he's always asking me questions, and I don't think he realizes it, but I feel like I'm a bit of a mentor towards him, and it feels really good to help people. So I do like helping people and mentoring when I can, but it's hard to dedicate that much time to specifically like mentoring people, because I just don't have that kind of schedule, but I do when I can.
All right. And how was your first job interview? Were you prepared, well prepared? Was it easy? Did you have a code challenge? And how was it?
So my very first job interview or code challenge that I got actually came from that first meetup that I went to. And it didn't result in an actual interview, but I met the CEO of a startup. And he was like, hey, here's my business card. He's like, shoot me an email. I'll forward it to HR, and we'll send you the code challenge. And if you can pass that, then we'll give you a first round of interviews. Because I don't know, I guess he kind of liked that I was so new and so eager. But I failed the code challenge miserably. I remember I hired a tutor on Upwork to help me in Haskell. I didn't even know what Haskell was. I didn't know what functional programming was at the time, but the code challenge was in Haskell, and I failed miserably. I spent a couple of weeks trying to pass it, because it was, finish it at your own pace kind of thing. But on my first interview that I had for the job that I landed, I had a very small code challenge, because they were looking for people who were junior or fresh out of a boot camp or fresh out of college. And the code challenge was something that was hard for me then, but very simple for me now. And it was, create a button on a page that changes an element when you submit it to a different color. And it was basic HTML, CSS, and a little bit of JavaScript. And at the time they were like, you can use jQuery, but you get extra points for vanilla JS. And I was like, oh, perfect. Because the night before I had stayed up all night going through all the JavaScript stuff on Free Code Camp, because I was like, I'm ready for a challenge. I want to make sure I brush up on everything. I was like, I'll do it in JavaScript. And I did it. And they really liked that I was able to complete that challenge in JavaScript. So they were like, oh, we're going to give you extra points for that. And I ended up getting that job after that challenge and the initial round of interviews. I had 3 interviews that led up to the last interview meeting with the director. But yeah, it was very intimidating, to say the least. But it wasn't algorithms or data structure based, because I was applying for like a junior web developer job. So
is that the same company you're working for, or have you switched company But no.
No, I switched companies and I relocated to Washington State. That was when I was in Las Vegas. That was the first job that I had, which was, wow, time flies. It was almost 3.5 years ago when I got that job. So now I am more of a full stack developer. I work in Angular, Spring Boot, Java, and SQL, like JHipster stack. And I work on a modernization program or project that's we're basically modernizing an old Java application to use the new framework and make it web based for it to just be up to date and more modern, because they're deprecating the old system. And it's just a big project that I'm on, and it's a big code base too, so a little different than the first job I had.
How long did you work in your first job?
2 years.
2 years, and then you switched to another company and you got another code challenge, I guess, another coding interview.
Yes. So it's funny how things work out. So when I was ready to look for a new job, I started applying everywhere, like everyone does, and I got a few phone interviews, and I got a couple little interviews here and there. But then I applied for Allegiant Airlines, and initially they had turned me down after the phone interview, and it was fine. I answered everything as honest as I could, and I felt I did well, but I felt there may have been a few things that I answered more opinionated than they had wanted to hear. And then a month later, they called me back and they were like, hey, we want to reconsider you. Would you come in and be willing to do a code challenge? And this was probably the most intimidating code challenge I had. And at the time, my focus was always HTML and CSS and JavaScript. But my strong suit was UI development and building HTML and CSS on web pages. And they made me code out a whole web page in like a landing page in 1 hour with 4 developers sitting there and my laptop being projected on a screen. And honestly, I impressed myself because I did a really good job, to the point where they were like, hey, they basically offered me the job on the spot. But this was the same company that turned me down a month before after a phone interview. And then when they actually got to see me live code in front of them, they were like, hey, can you meet with our director before you go? Because we don't want to have to call you back for another interview. If we can just knock out this formality now, we'll speed you through the process. And I ended up turning down that job for the Washington job, because when it rains, it pours. And I had already gone through the round of interviews for the job that I have now. And once I accepted the offer from Allegiant, I kind of burned a bridge a little bit there, but I had to do what was best for my family. I got the phone call and the offer for the job in Washington, and told my wife, I was like, are we ready to move? She said, yeah. I was like, all right, let's pack the house up and sell it and go to Washington.
Great.
So that's what we did.
Great. Amazing. Congratulations. Let's talk about your YouTube project. So like I already mentioned, you started YouTube 2 months later, and now you've hit 2K. And I'm still at, I've almost reached 1K now. And I remember when you reached out to me, you had like, I don't know, 10 subscribers, and I was already at 200 or something. So I actually started earlier, and I had more subscribers than you. And then now you've passed me, and I was like, man, this guy is really doing good. And at the first I was thinking, man, it's competition. I need to step up my game. I need to be better. But at the other, but then I was thinking, you know what? I want to be happy for this guy, because he put so much effort in it, so much time, and I want to help him as much as I can. And you reached out to me. You were asking some questions regarding video editing, about intro. And I sent you some tools, and just seeing you grow now is so amazing. And I'm so happy that you made it this far. And this is also something that also gives me, let's say, the drive to keep moving forward, to see, hey, look, Dorian has come this far, and maybe you can also do it. Just give it a try. Just keep moving forward and helping people. I think that's actually one of the biggest gift you get from this thing, is that just seeing people reaching out to you and say, hey, look, I watched your video. I was on the brink of giving up. I almost quit software development. I almost quit learning how to code or learning anything. but then I watched your video and it was so good, so nice, so motivating, and I'm trying to give my best. And also another guy that I had an interview with, a podcast with, he just recently got a job, and that was something that really pumped me up. And he said even during the interview, his podcast with me was actually the first topic that came up during the interview. And they were like, yeah, we saw this interview with this guy with this CodeStories podcast, and we really liked it. We liked your attitude. We liked the way you were talking, the way you were sharing your experience. And these things they're way more important than subscribers and likes and views. And so you've been in the game now for almost a year. And how have your experience been being a YouTuber?
It's pretty crazy because when you first start the channel, you're just like, nobody's gonna watch this. Nobody's gonna listen to me. I know I wanted to make a YouTube channel. I didn't know what to talk about, and I have a couple hobbies that I could have talked about, and I was gonna try to just talk about anything that I could. And I was like, what's something that I can really bring value to people? And I was like, well, this is learning how to code thing. I remember watching YouTubers and I remember how much they motivated me. And I was like, maybe that's what I can do. So then I kind of followed that path, and I was just like, I'm just going to talk about different things that I remember being curious about or wanting to ask people about, and questions that I can answer for people that are trying to be self-taught. And honestly, I didn't realize how much of an impact it was going to have on people until I started getting those comments, like you said, that they're like, hey, this helped me so much. Thank you. You're an inspiration. And I'm just like, whoa, wait a minute. I wasn't trying to inspire anyone, but it's really, really, it's a beautiful thing to hear. When you hear that from people, it's what keeps me wanting to make these videos. It's what keeps me wanting to help people work on their goals, because I know what it's like. I grew up, I didn't have the world handed to me. I had to work a lot for my stuff, and I won't get into my childhood or anything like that, but life can be hard for some people. And if you can share a little bit of positivity to affect someone's life in a good way, if it's learning to code, or if it's just, helping them get through the day because they had a rough day, that's more rewarding than anything else. And I didn't realize that until I started getting those comments and those messages, because at first all I wanted to do was get 100 subscribers, and then I wanted to get a bigger channel and I wanted it to grow. But then now I realize it's bigger than that. That's like the small part of it. The impact that you have on people's lives it's crazy, because I never in a million years thought that I would be someone that would influence people in that sense. And I hate the term influencer, because I don't ever want to be considered an influencer, but if I can have an impact on someone's life in a positive way, that's better than 1 million subscribers.
Great. And now you're doing all sort of things on your YouTube channel. You're doing unboxing, Q&A, tips, advices. You're doing live stream. You did your first podcast recently. And so is this something that you're going to keep doing, or you just like trying out different kind of stuff, experimenting? And
I really am just kind of trying different things. I did a video on like my cell phone, because I don't know. I sometimes I run out of ideas, and I feel like I don't think anybody wants to hear me talk about code anymore. I feel like I don't want to hear myself talk about code anymore. I feel like maybe I might, if I'm always just talking about the same exact thing, maybe I might get stale, or I might just be repeating myself a lot. And I felt that to try and branch out and do different things would be good, and just to see what may come of it. But it's funny that you said that. I did a poll on YouTube with the community tab, and I was like, would anyone be interested in watching me play Call of Duty and I'll answer questions about code? And most of the people said yes. It was like 70 people responded to it, and it was almost 70% of the people said yes. And then I thought about it. I was like, I shouldn't do this. I was like, it's way too off topic, and I don't think I'm gonna do it. And I was like, I feel bad, because I don't feel like I would be able to bring value if I'm focusing on a video game while I try to answer questions. So I'd rather keep those live streams more, focus on code and helping people with their resumes or their website. And I think in one of my live streams, I was code reviewing somebody's first project. He had a React project, and he's like, "Hey man, can you code review this?" Because I have a small channel, so there's not that many people in the live stream. So I was just like, if you guys want me to look at anything, I will look at anything. I'm not gonna fix your code because I can't go down that rabbit hole. But if you want some feedback on how you can better structure something, or if you can clean something up, or how something looks in the UI, and that's kind of where it went. But honestly, a lot of the live streaming stuff, I try to stick to a topic, and then it goes a little off topic. And I've had a hard time with my last live streams, and I guess it's just being new and having different technical errors and just not being able to stick to the script, I guess.
Great. And which impact has YouTube had in your life? I mean, for me, for example, I know that it has helped my communication skills. It has helped me with my writing, because I write a lot of scripts, my time management, getting things done, getting things arranged, and knowing how a camera works. I had absolutely no idea what an aperture was, or autofocus. These things didn't make sense to me like a year ago. And video editing, thumbnails, audio editing, these are just things I learned this year. And which impact did you have a similar experience with your YouTube channel?
100%. I would say I have to agree with everything you say, and to add to the communication thing, I'm not much of a public speaker. I don't do well. If you put me in front of 100 people and told me to talk, I don't know what I would do. But there's something about doing it in a camera that makes it feel like you're a little bit detached from the audience, in that sense that they're not directly in front of you, even though they are, and they're watching you. And I remember my first live stream, I almost puked. There was only like 5 people in there, but right before it, I was just like, I can't do this. It's helped me out with my public speaking. It's also helped me out with, they always say that software developers is very important to have side projects. And a lot of the times as a developer, the minute you hear that you need to code on your free time. And while that could bring value for learning new technology, or just building something that's outside of what you do every day at work to bring a little spice and variety into your life, I felt that that's what YouTube did for me, in a sense where I needed the side project. I needed something that I can do on my free time that was productive and beneficial to help me grow, that wasn't just like playing video games or watching TV. I needed something that was my own, and I didn't want to code. It sounds funny, I'm here telling everybody to learn how to code, but I feel like I would burn out if I had to learn how to code, or if I had to work on code as my side project. So YouTube actually helped me get a side project and let me talk about something I'm very passionate about, which is programming and coding, but not having to, just go from work coding 9 hours a day and then go home and work on a side project that's coding for the rest of the night. And I like that it added something that I look forward to, and it's helped a lot with my public speaking, and it's really been impactful with how much it's helping people as well, because that's just something that it's beyond anything that I could have ever imagined.
Great. And your colleagues at work, do they know about your YouTube channel, or is this some kind of kind of a Batman thing? And on the day you're like Bruce Wayne, and night you're Batman.
I will say this, that there are very few people in my personal life or work colleagues that know about my YouTube. I have been extremely secretive about my YouTube channel. I promote it on Twitter only because it's an account that I created for my YouTube channel. I don't share my channel on Facebook. I don't share it on LinkedIn. I told my wife, and she told some of her friends, and they subscribed to my channel. But even one of my closest friends, he knows I have a channel, but I haven't given him a link, and he's tried to find it and he can't find it because I don't know. Maybe it's imposter syndrome. Maybe it's just like I'm shy about it, and I feel that it's easier for people who don't know me to open up and talk to them and have them watch me than people who do know me. I don't know. I feel like maybe they'll be judgmental, which I'm sure they won't, but it's just something that I've been very secretive about. And I told myself, I'm like, once I hit 10,000 subscribers, that's what I'm going to tell everybody I know, because then I'll feel like I'm a real YouTuber. Because when you have 100 subscribers and you tell somebody you have a YouTube channel, they're like, oh, okay, cool, that's awesome. But I don't know. I'm self-conscious about it, and yeah, I haven't told many people to be honest.
All right. And how do you manage your private life with the full-time job and the YouTube thingy? How do you reconcile all this, let's say, projects with each other without causing one side to to go crazy? I mean, it's almost impossible to make everybody happy in the project. So how is it for you? Has it been something you were able to manage really easily, or was it you having some challenges doing this?
So I would say when I first started the channel, it was very challenging because all I wanted to do was make videos, and it drove my wife crazy. She, she was just like, I'm gonna throw that camera in the garbage. Although she was super supportive about it when I went crazy and I was like, I gotta make as many videos as I can, and this is all I want to do. She was like, you need to slow down. You gotta go to work. You gotta hang out with us and the kids. And then I finally, once I decided, all right, this is something that I'm gonna do for a long time, and I don't need to go so crazy, and I can take my time with it and look at this as a long-term goal and a long-term project. That's when I decided, all right, I work 9 to 5, and my wife gives me a strict, after work between 5 p.m. and 9 p.m. it's family time, it's help around the house, it's help out with the kids, it's make dinner, have dinner, play with the kids, and all that good stuff until they brush their teeth and go to bed. And then of course, if my wife wants to hang out after 9, I will hang out with her. But my main YouTube time has just come from sleep deprivation. I after 9 p.m. once the kids are asleep and I have the time to do it, I basically make videos usually between 9 and 1 a.m. And then I just don't sleep as much as I used to. And also my wife is really encouraging, and she'll give me some weekends where she'll take the kids up to her brother's house or her parents and give me 2 days to be like, all right, you do as much YouTube as you want. I'm going to go take the kids and get out of your hair. And it's kind of nice that she's so supportive in that sense. But the best time management I've had is just staying up late. I've always been a night owl. I've worked graveyard most of my life. I've always been up late. I don't like waking up early in the morning, so I didn't want to force myself to wake up at 4 a.m. and try to do it before work. I work better at night, and that's the time I dedicate for all this stuff.
All right, great. Okay, so we're almost done. Let's wrap it up. Where can people reach you, Dorian?
On my YouTube channel, really, I don't do too much social media. I started my Twitter account that's at Dorian Develops, same name as my YouTube channel, mostly to try to promote my channel. But if you go on Twitter and you look at my account, I hardly tweet. If you want to reach me, you can check out my YouTube channel, and you can join my Discord server that I have on there. I might make future social media accounts, moving forward. But as of right now, probably the best way to get a hold of me is through my channel. Drop a comment, check out the Discord server, join there, and just ping me. And if I'm available and I'm able to help or answer questions, that's probably the best place to reach me.
Great, amazing. Thank you very much for your time, Dorian. Thank you for being my guest. And
thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. And I wish you the very best, man.
Yeah, this was awesome. I was really, really happy to do this. This was, it's been a long time in the works. I appreciate all the help that you helped me with when I first got my channel started. You really helped me out more than you know by just answering a few questions, and I really appreciate that. And it's so cool that we were able to do this. I'm really happy to be here, and thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right, folks, that's it for today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. See you guys. Bye-bye.